lovely listeners, and welcome back to Reasons to Care, the podcast all about heartwarming stories and making a difference with diverse abilities, Dorset's disability charity. I'm Claire, one of the managers in the children's team.
And I'm Michelle, the Deputy Manager in Supported Living. We're back after a little hiatus. Did you miss us? This month we've got Charlotte Snowshall, who is part of your team, isn't she, Claire?
She is indeed. Charlotte started off with us as Short Breaks crew and has been such an important part of the team over the years.
I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more about the time she spent with us. And of course, if you're inspired and working in care, listening to the podcast, don't forget you can check out career vacancies online at any time at diverseabilities.org.uk/careers. So welcome, Charlotte.
Hiya.
Lovely to have you join us. I just wanted to know a little bit, because obviously I work in adults, so we don't really see each other at all. So how did you come across Diverse Abilities?
So I came across Diverse Abilities when I just turned 18. I just saw it on like a little link online and I read it and I almost thought it was like too good to be true. I saw this job and it was supporting children over the summer with additional needs, and it said you got to go to theme parks, you go swimming, you go to the cinema, and I thought I'd apply, but I was like, where's the catch? Like, hang on, there must be something not quite right here. So I applied, did the interview, and then was offered the job and became a Short Breaks crew member working for Project in Chaos. And then I just loved every minute and have been here ever since. And I'm still thinking, what is the catch? I still don't know what it is, but
I love it. And so how long have you worked with the charity?
Probably about 4 and a bit years now. Since I just turned 18, I'd applied, and then I'm 23 this year. So yeah, fair amount for like my age, a fair amount of time.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's been quite a journey for you, hasn't it, Charlotte? Because I remember interviewing you and thinking, there's definitely something there. There's definitely something within her, and she is absolutely destined to be part of this team. But you've actually had multiple roles within our team, haven't you? Started off as crew, and then you got a promotion and became one of our supervisors. So you were supervising shifts. How long was it between being crew and supervisor? Do you remember?
It was probably about like a year, maybe around that time. Started as crew, kind of like built on my experience a bit, and then became promoted to supervisor.
And then
got promoted again.
You had another promotion.
Yeah.
So you were supervisor for a couple of years.
Yeah. Supervisor for a couple of years while doing another job on the side, and then became full-time within the Short Breaks management team as Short Breaks assistant, which I currently do now. So it's my full-time passion within the team.
So for somebody who doesn't work in children's, what does that job entail?
So when I first started as crew, I was supporting children one-to-one or families one-to-one on days out. And then I began supervising shifts, so being in charge of all the staff on the shift, being that main point of call for the children if there was any behaviour, if there was any health and safety, first aid, any medications that needed to be administering, and just running the sessions. And then now my job is a bit crazy. I just do random things. You can't write it down. One day I'm doing like DLA evidence for children or attending TAFs, planning the activities over summer. And then the next day I could be like out and about doing the activities. So I get a really lovely mix. Yesterday I was at a family support session and I spent the day cuddling Highland cows. So you really can't write my job role. And then today I've just been on my computer all day doing some monitoring, doing some spreadsheets. But I get a really, really lovely mix of seeing the children, not every day, but I get to see them on like weekends. I see them in the evening, some in the daytime. And then in the summer, I'm almost like full-time again with the children. So I get that really nice office and child-led mix.
I was going to say that would be something for me. It would appeal.
Really, really
because
nice.
It's not structured.
No, there's no structure. No 2 days are the same. There's no 2 minutes are the same, really. And I just get a really nice mix of both worlds.
Lovely.
And when you joined us, Charlotte, did you see this is where your career might take you, because from my memory, it wasn't that this is where I want to be in X amount of years' time.
No, definitely not. I applied the summer before I went to uni, and I thought this would be like a nice little filler, earn some money. I always loved working with children. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I could be really good at that. I had like previous jobs before, like in a jeweler's, I did a bit in a bar, and absolutely like hated it. I hated that it was so like rigid. There was no like fun. I felt like every single job before just wasn't the job for me. And I got to the point of like, am I going to find a job that I actually really love? But I'd always loved working with children. So I saw that this had come up, applied for it, thought it'd be a nice little filler, but then have never looked back since. It's changed my whole outlook on what I wanted to do. I kind of came with no experience as such, just passion, and then have built up my experience over the years. And now I see it as a forever role. I couldn't not do it.
That is amazing to hear. So did you go to uni, or did you not?
I did go to uni for a bit, and then I left uni, and then I went into education. And then once this came up full time, my whole like brain was like, actually, maybe there is a real career in care full time. And I thought I'll just give it a go, and I haven't looked back since.
And just sort of, I know you have touched on it, but that wasn't something you ever seen prior to
No,
Diverse.
I didn't think that it would be like a full-time thing. I didn't know you could actually make a proper career out of care. I always thought it would just be like a little filler, go to uni, but actually it's a full-time career for me.
And this is something we say all the time, isn't it, Claire? That
Absolutely.
actually, if we can just get out there, that actually you can make a career, and you're proof
absolutely.
of it. And I think we've all stepped into the role not thinking it's a forever role at times.
Yeah, I think this is why these podcasts are so important. And it was why I was so keen to interview Charlotte, because actually, I think, because obviously I know her, she's on my team. So I've seen that growth and I've seen her journey. But those journeys are so important to get across to people, that if people want to just come and work for us whilst they're, getting ready for their real career, as we call it, when they're going to go to uni and they might go and become a nurse or something, absolutely fine. But also I think it can really open up doors for people who are really passionate, want to make a difference. There are careers there for people, and I think it's just so important to get that across. And people don't want that progression, that's absolutely fine, but for those people who do, it is there. And that's why I think it was so important that we heard Charlotte's story today, because Charlotte joined us as crew, wasn't expecting to, just stay maybe a couple of years while she was at uni. And actually now, I think you are in absolutely the right role for you, Charlotte. The passion that you have for our families as a manager, it's amazing for me to have a team full, in fact, of people that are really passionate about supporting children and families for better outcomes. So it's amazing. And actually, since Charlotte's joined our team, obviously we've had the big redevelopment, we've moved to the treehouse, we've grown our services, and Charlotte's been a really integral part of that. So I don't know if you want to talk to us, Charlotte, about Little Squirrels, because that's something that you sort of really championed and I've embraced and said, let's do it then. Let's do this thing. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think one day I was in the office and I was like, well, we've got all this time now. Should we do an under fives SEND session just for those that have additional needs or are awaiting diagnosis, somewhere that they can come. It's a safe space, they can play and they can almost get ready for school. And Claire was like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. So we now run our Little Squirrels service, which, as I said, is for under fives with additional needs or awaiting diagnosis. They come with their parents and we do lots of key things that can help them get ready for school. So we do a lot of communication work, a lot of work around behaviour, lots of sensory integration, things like that. And a lot of our families, they can't go to nursery or they don't go to nursery 5 days a week because their needs can't be met in a mainstream nursery. So it's a really nice opportunity for them to still be around other children, pick up on language, pick up on kind of social skills, and for the parents to meet mum friends, because a lot of our parents come and they don't have those stereotypical mum friends. So they come and now they've got a lot of friends, their children have got friends, and it's just a really nice nurturing environment for them.
Prior to having having that must have been really isolating.
Yeah.
For the children, but also for the families, I can imagine.
Definitely. We get comments all the time on how it's kind of changed their world. It's their kind of stereotypical every Monday now, just to be around other children and then picking up on language, picking up on play, having somewhere that they can do an activity that is in safe enclosed walls. And almost there's no pressure to join in like a normal kind of toddler group where there's those like singing songs and everyone has to sit in the circle and everyone has to join in the stories. For ours, we're very free flow. If you want to join in for 5 minutes, even if a child kind of is looking, that's a really big key milestone for some of our children. So it's really like restructuring those stereotypical mum and toddler groups.
Oh, sounds amazing, to be fair, for the families who can. I've worked in settings prior to being an adult, so I know how challenging that play setting can be for a child with additional needs. So to have that, and I'd imagine if the mums get together, they can obviously offload or talk about how their day is as well. So both are getting...
Definitely.
So does that run every Monday?
Every Monday in term time, yeah. And then in school holidays, we've got our kind of chaos program that they kind of like transition onto in the school holidays or our open houses. So they still get something. But in the term time, instead of going to like a nursery, they might come here with their parents. And it's been really nice as well because we've been able to help them write DLA evidence or help them with EHCPs because that's the kind of key time. Talk to them about school placement. So it's been a really nice kind of support network, and they really do help each other and form friends and offload and talk about their own experiences. So it's been a really lovely little group.
And is that where Little Squirrels stop, or is there plans to build on that, or?
Oh, I don't know.
We're always, I think something that particularly in short breaks, we're always looking to fill a gap, aren't we? We're always looking for those areas of need or the areas that aren't being met by other services, whether that be sort of your traditional services or whether that be other charities or other groups. So we're always looking for areas where families are saying we really need this help. So I guess watch this space.
I was going to say watch this space. Yeah, it sounds exciting. So can I ask you then, Charlotte, it seems like what has made you so passionate about this early intervention?
I'd say like I worked in special needs school before, so seeing the lack of kind of support there before school for those with SEN or additional needs, or being kind of ostracized from those stereotypical groups, or nursery saying they can't meet those needs. It was a really lonely place for some of our families. So being able to offer them something where everyone can come together and it is safe, there's no judgment, they can access that support. So just meeting that kind of key area was a real passion of mine.
And I think we see, don't we, because we work with families for a really long time, sometimes families, we don't pick them up until a little bit later. They've had a really tough time. So I think we see and have that evidence of early intervention is so important, because good early intervention can really change long-term outcomes. And I think that's where we're certainly as a team really passionate about making sure that everybody has the support at whatever stage of their journey that they're on, and filling those gaps, like I said, making sure that, you know, whatever a family needs within reason, we will do our very best to support them.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that from my experience prior to working with diverse abilities. When I was working as an SEN in a preschool, it was really challenging from my point of view, knowing that early intervention and how much it would change that person's life going into school and that, but trying to get staff on board who maybe didn't have the enthusiasm or could see the bigger picture. Really frustrating. So having gaps filled in, and that early intervention really does work and is massively important.
It's been really interesting, hopefully, for our listeners to hear your story, Charlotte. So thank you ever so much for joining us today.
And I'd just like to ask, thank you so much for understanding a little bit more about your role and what you do. But if any of our listeners are listening and think, how do I get into care? What would you say to them?
I would definitely say just go for it, take the leap. You won't regret it. It's a really fun career. And I always think when I interview people now for Short Breaks Crew, and I don't look at all the experience they have, all those Obviously, experience is key, but you can join care and learn on the job. It's really nice industry for that. And we don't necessarily care about all your qualifications. We're just looking for passion. If you've got that fun energy and that nurturing personality that can really make a difference to children or adults' lives, then go for it, because you'll have so much fun and you really won't regret it.
It's not like a job, is it, at the end of the day?
No, it's not a job. I think people, when I tell them my job, they don't believe that I get paid to do all the things I do.
Yeah. It's the best bit about it. So every episode, we obviously have our happy jar. So I will take today's note, and I have got a lady loving her holiday, staying up till 10:30 and fighting the yawns to enjoy the entertainment. I've really enjoyed supporting her to do this and seeing her flourish. So I'm guessing this is an adult's one, Michelle?
It is indeed. So this is one of our eldest people that we support, actually.
Oh.
So in her early 80s, and they recently went to Weymouth with there was quite a few of them, actually, and it was all sort of coincidence. It wasn't booked that way. It was just like, oh, we're going. Oh, actually, we'll go too. So, this lady has got more energy than I have, definitely. And the staff were saying that, it's time to go, and that she was absolutely adamant she wanted to stay. She's nonverbal, but you can tell very much through the way that she speaks. She was like, no, she was living her best life, and she was there to last in the house, definitely, to go back.
Well, it's really lovely to hear. Really lovely to hear. I love the fact that you get to get the adults that we support on holiday and like you say, living their best lives. And actually, that is what it's all about for me.
Yeah. And, we've just heard about, we just had a conversation actually in the office the other day about Butlins. So a group, Claire, you might know, but a group thinking of going to Butlins, and it was like, oh, but it's a weekender, so it's an adults. And we were like, well, why not? Why can't our people go to a weekender? We do it ourselves. So that's looking like that will be booked as well. So again, I love that. I love that there's that whole why can't they attitude, because
it's the thing I love most about Diversabilities. It is, after spending many, many years in a large corporate care environment, I don't know if I should say who, it was very much no we can't, and it used to really frustrate me, because I was like, why can't we? As long as we're doing it safely, as long as we've risk assessed it, as long as we've got everything in place, why can't we do it? And I spent 13 years almost pulling my hair out, just so frustrated by the system. And then I came to Diversabilities, and we're throwing kids in Ringos and putting them down ski slopes, and it's like, this is exactly what I love about Diversabilities, because it's definitely, well, how can we do it safely?
Okay, so my turn now. So I've got one here, and it says, children always happily nibbling on plants in the sensory garden. Luckily, the shopping list is always edible. I really want to know more about this. This must be obviously from yourself, Claire.
Yeah, it is. So obviously in the last year or so, when we moved to the treehouse, we were lucky enough to be able to transform an area of the site into a sensory garden. And I absolutely love it. It's all I dreamed of and more. It's a really lovely, quiet space. I actually really enjoy going and sitting in the sensory garden on a sunny day. And you can just hear the birds. And we've got lovely plants now, which we were very, very kindly donated. And we've got a fish pond. And it's just a beautiful space. But obviously, in looking at when we were planting the plants, they had to be edible, because a lot of our children are so sensory. They are just going to eat whatever they can get their hands on. Quite often we will find children eating the plants, but we know they're safe. So
I love it.
And it's a great sensory experience, I guess.
Exactly. And it's going back to that you can do attitude as well. Mm-hmm. So no restriction, really.
No.
Lovely.
Also, every episode we have our myth, and I think this one is going to be fairly easy to bust. So this episode's myth is, care isn't a career because there's no progression. I think the three people in this room would disagree.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we've all done our own sense of progression, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So I do not believe that. If it goes back to, what Charlotte was saying about passion and you're keen, then you can go further. I never, ever, I'm sure I've talked about it before, I never, ever thought I'd be in the position of deputy manager and still pinch myself on a daily basis, as I imagine we all do.
I always saw my career being in care, or in care in some way, shape or form, but I didn't go to university. I didn't, I did start at the bottom. I was just a carer when I started many, many years ago. And then I have just taken opportunities to progress with either training or additional courses, whatever I needed to, really. And then I had my children. So care worked great for me when I had my kids and they were little, because I just worked nights or evenings or whatever was needed. It fitted around my family. And then once the children were older, that's when I decided, actually, now is my time for a career and I am going to make a career of this. And that's when I was very actively looking at moving through, different roles or what have you, because I wanted to progress. I wanted to make a difference. And although I felt I made a difference as a carer, I want to make a difference in the wider picture. So I wanted to be able to start new services. I wanted to be able to change the way we did things. I wanted to have a say in how we did things and what we did. So for me, there was a very conscious decision of, this is going to be my career because this is where my passion is, once I moved to diverse abilities. So I think that's why I'm always very much like, you don't have to career progress. If that's not for you, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a carer and still have a massive difference and make a huge impact on people's lives. But actually, if you want a career, there is 100% a career in care.
Yeah. And definitely for yourself, Charlotte.
Yeah, 100%. I think it goes back to what Claire said with making that big difference. As I've kind of stepped up, I can see that the difference I've made has been on a bigger picture, which is really nice. Even just the way rewiring how our staff think on behaviour and communication going hand in hand with that. So just making that big difference, and to go home every day and think, oh my goodness, a child's just said their first word, or something really small, like a child has started interacting with me by looking at me, is a really, really big thing. And it is really different to every other job that you can get. But that progression is so easy, and it just kind of flowed into my life, and I couldn't think of what would happen if that didn't happen for me now.
Yeah. And from the same of adults, the same point, about rewiring the way that the staff think in terms of 100%. A behaviour or something is lovely to be able to do at this position. And when you get the holidays come in and, you can sort of sort that out and make sure everything's sorted so they can go on that, or just them coming in and telling you about your day.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of my best memories that I've ever had have been spent at work doing what we do with our staff and with our children. Is some of my best memories and things that I wouldn't have been able to experience unless I've been in this job. So it's huge.
So I think the myth is bust again.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Hopefully today's episode of the podcast has given our lovely listeners an idea of what it's like to work in care, and that actually care can be seen as a career. And if you want that career progression, there are opportunities. You just have to be, I guess, open to looking for them.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, Charlotte, thank you so much for coming along. It's opened my eyes to children's, as I feel every episode does. So yeah, it's been really lovely to have you.
So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Reasons to Care, the podcast from Diverse Abilities, Dorset's disability charity, all about what it means to work in care.
We'll be back again with you soon, so make sure you subscribe for updates. But in the meantime, don't forget to follow Diverse Abilities on social media. Check out our vacancies at diverseabilities.org.uk/careers. And we'd love it if you could leave a review if you've enjoyed this episode. See you soon.
Bye.